There was South Korea near the DMZ. They inadvertently bombed a church. I talked about this on my channel, did a video on it, but in the news, the top Air Force commander offers public apology, basically saying it never should have happened. 2 KF-16s abnormally dropped 8 Mark 82s outside a training range about 40 kilometers south of Seoul during live fire drills, injuring 29, including 15 civilians. The Air Force should protect lives and property of the people, which should protect lives and property of the people inflicted harm on or to the people. It was an accident that should never have happened and one that should not recur. If you scroll down, it says Lee took the blame for the accident, unprecedented mistake bombing on civilian town, vowed efforts to prevent such accidents going forward. Interim probe result released Monday reaffirmed pilot error as the cause of the bombing, saying the pilot of the first aircraft missed at least 3 opportunities to prevent the accident after wrongly entering target coordinates and preventative measures they vowed to strengthen procedures to ensure cross-checks. Their live fire drills will resume. So Gonky, I talked about it on my channel because kind of, things I brought up are, wrong coordinates or you bomb the IP, right? Which could still be wrong coordinates because I've heard of that in training. I've heard of that, in combat where, in an F-16 where you're just ink decking between steer points, you get confused on which one's the IP and which one's the target. You call IP inbound at the one before that. Nobody catches it. You pickle. One thing I didn't talk about is typically when you're bombing on a range, which again, it could be different cultures and stuff, you are checking in with range control. You're getting that the range is safe, because they actually go and check and make sure nobody's out there, no stranger traffic, stuff that you can hurt. And they will give you a cleared, it may not be cleared hot, but a lot of times it is, but they'll at least give you the clearance to do your first run attack on range, even if it is something that you're not going to do a clearing pass for. But Gonky, Ammo, what do you guys think? How does something like that happen?
First of all, man, I think it's pretty cool that I don't say General Lee, but the that he took responsibility for it, right? When I read through the article and he's like, I take full responsibility. That's pretty cool, even though he wouldn't fly in the airplane. Yeah, Mover. You talked about the ways it could happen. The thing I always come back to, and it's like we were just talking about the helmet and what it can bring, safety and stuff like that. Man, these are complex airplanes, right? We're flying jet powered airplanes with bombs and stuff strapped to them. And it literally, you can be one coordinate off in your waypoint planning and something like this can happen. So it just, to me, it just drives home the importance of just, good training, quality training. And I read a couple articles as well about this. And I don't know how, how often, what was the recency of experience like, any of those kind of factors. So yeah, it was pilot error for sure. And thank goodness that, more damage was done because they dropped a lot of ordnance, dude.
8 Mark 82s, 500-pound GP bombs.
Dude, that's a lot of ordnance into a area with innocent people. So, literally, thank God that, there wasn't more damage and destruction. So they were very lucky. And, I guess the big takeaway, we can't change the past, but we can change the future. So the big takeaway is hopefully, the Koreans are going to use this in their training of, hey, this is how you can make a terrible mistake. Let's not do it again. So yeah, Ammo, what do you think, man?
Yeah, tragic. Thankfully, yeah, like you said, they got away with it, not having more destruction or any death. So, as someone that does not have a lot of air to ground experience with the 2 platforms that I flew, I did drop 1 bomb in combat once in the Raptor, and we're just talking like Cat 1 bomb on coordinate, but we had multiple layers of, let's call it accountability, between reading the coordinates to the JTAC and with our data link confirming that what we have as the target is the correct coordinates in accordance with our TAR pack, et cetera, et cetera. So what went wrong? Where did the Swiss cheese line up? We'll have to wait for the investigation to come out, but yeah, definitely something broke down in that chain of accountability there and pressed the pickle button on the wrong target. But yeah, tragic for sure.
Mover or Ammo, have you guys ever put in, like on the fly, have you guys ever put in the wrong coordinate?
Oh yeah. If you're on the fly and you've got a TOT that you got to meet and they're not giving you any extension to that, that's where the risk really starts spiking, and you've got to have your wingman backing you up or something there, because there's no turning back once you press the button.
Yeah, and I talked about this on the video I made about it when it first happened. The various modes that the F-16 can drop. You've got CCIP, which is you get basically a hot pickle button, and wherever the bullseye is where the bomb's going to go. It's a computed impact point. You've got CCRP, which is a release point, which is based off of whatever your system has, whether it's a induced slew, your radar, your GPS, targeting pod, whatever. It's just bombing whatever it thinks, and as soon as it gets a solution to that, it's a hot pickle button. And then there's dive toss. And the thing I was thinking is that, to me, it's unlikely that it was anything but a CCRP or some kind of bomb on coordinate stuff, because at least me thinking, if I'm doing a diving delivery, which you usually would do with a Mark 82, usually we don't just do level deliveries because there's no training value in that, right? If you're doing a general purpose munition, you're pointing your nose at the ground. You would see that, like you target ID, because we do pop attacks, we would do roll-ins and stuff, and part of that was rolling in, looking off, going, that's my target, visually acquiring it. And then you've got to put the thing on the thing to make it work. And at that point, you'd go, oh, that's a church, because a live range looks massively different from anything else. Like it's usually just dirt out in the open, because you got safe distances and stuff. They're not going to have maybe, targets, but the targets don't stand up because you're bombing them with lives. Typically, it's the same place you bomb over and over. So that to me says that they were dropping on some kind of coordinates, which I have questions about. Do they have targeting pods? Probably not, if you're just doing GP attacks. But if you do, then okay, that's another way you can verify that what you're looking at is the correct target. If it was a pre-planned attack going back, then, it could have happened in mission planning. When you loaded the DTC, could have happened, he was typing them in. I mean, to me, if you're dropping live, and like you brought up ammo, every time something comes off your airplane, the hair on the back of your neck is standing up.
Yep.
Because you are like, if I hit this button and I'm wrong, it's my, I am taking somebody's life.
Yep.
It is a lot of power with that button, even in training, because we'd go to Fort Polk, and every time you drop, you're like, God, I hope this isn't, I didn't, because your real concern, like on a range, is usually not, am I going to bomb the civilian populace? Is, am I going to accidentally drop on the JTAC? Am I going to drop on the range controller? Am I going to drop on something I'm not supposed to? Did I accidentally induce a slew in the system and it's, off range and stuff like that? So there's a lot of responsibility when you're carrying that much firepower on your aircraft. And it'll be interesting to see what they mean when they say, well, he had the wrong coordinates in, because like they talked about, there's different checks. And for both of them to do that, did the wingman know and not speak up, or were they both led down the same rabbit hole?
You bring up a good point, Mover. Like, especially as a pre-planned mission. So at least in the Navy, during combat ops, even during regular ops, like we would always record the, the GPS, the quality of the GPS that the jet was getting.
Yeah.
Then whatever weapons we were carrying, we would record the weapon health, right, of each weapon. And then if we were using the AT FLIR, especially in combat, there was a point that we would designate with the FLIR to test its coordinate generating and accuracy. And you had to record. I mean, it was a giant.
Dropping in combat is more about recording the right things than it is about actually dropping the weapon.
It was
liability.
CYA big time, and it was
6 is going to watch it after.
100%, dude. So like when I employed, it's like the first thing they want to see is, did you record all your stuff? Because if it didn't happen to me, but it does happen, even smart weapons, they don't hit exactly. Mm-hmm. And they want to know, like, okay, let's rewind your tapes. Let's see if, did you, and they want to see all that. And if you didn't do that, that's bad. That could be very bad for you. And then if something like this happened where, something, terrible, where you're actually injured some people, nearly killed some people, dude, you'd probably be the end of your flying days if you were sloppy and didn't record that stuff. So, I mean, it's, there is a lot of, and if it was a pre-planned mission, you would definitely record
Oh, on the
route.
ground. You're
Yes.
recording them in the EOR. That's where you know
Exactly.
when you title your tapes, you're like, you
Yeah.
know, today is whatever. You had a whole script you had to read.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I had a whole Top Gun approved checklist. I'm like, okay,
yeah.
step one is this. And
Yeah, you had to read it, you know,
Yeah.
who you were, what you were doing. Oh yeah, that brings back memories, man. I forgot about about that. So
the not cool part.
well, and so one of the things the comments on my video brought up, and they go, well, why? Right? Why? Because that seems to be the common like civilian question anytime something bad like this happens is why is the military doing this? Like, why does the military need to put 8 Mark 82s on dirt for training? And the answer is because it's not just training for the pilots, which is valuable, right? Because you get the weight, you get the fusing, you know, you get to see, hey, is the thing armed? Is it spinning? You know, we do the safe checks after we take off and make sure everything is good. You get to see what it looks like when you pre-flight it. But also the maintainers. People always forget about the maintenance side of things, but the weapons and the ammo and all those other parts of the mission that we don't talk about enough, that gets exercised. You know, how did we get the bomb? Did we build the bomb correctly? All that stuff gets exercised when we drop lives, and it's a totally different process than just going out there and simulating with putting the green thing on the thing. So it is absolutely valuable training to go do it from start to finish. It's just in this case, it did not go well.